And here we are. I am Shevla. This is Debrief, episode 18. Analysts and coaches.
18.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy, isn't it? We've got to 18. Where will we be when we get to, I suppose, larger milestones? 50? Imagine if we got to 50 episodes, that'd be pretty crazy.
That'd be a good milestone.
Yeah,
The first one.
Yeah, that would be a really good milestone. We should be better with goal setting. Anyway, I am obviously joined here by the lovely Helbee.
Hello.
And this evening we're just gonna I'm pretty much just here picking Helbee's brains on coaching and how he does his analysis within reason. Not gonna get him to reveal trade secrets because you never know who's watching. So we might not want to. But yeah, no. I'm gonna sort of start off with because this is obviously for chat and things. This is very much like an interview kind of dynamic here. Starting off with obviously originally you played, and
Yes.
you came,
Yeah.
prior to coaching Team Secret. Did you have any experience of doing this sort of role, coaching, analysis?
Well, I played Pro League on the year one, and on that team I was mostly doing the strat. To be fair, at that point, year one was Wild West compared to what the scene is right now. It's much more structured right now. There's a depth in strategy and coordination between players. But back then, I was looking into it, and it was something I enjoyed. So naturally, I had an interest for that. And I studied as a financial analyst. So I have a pretty good background with Spreadsheet and all that stuff and data and whatnot. So it's almost natural, really. I make my own tools to work and to analyze, and it really felt like a natural progression in my gaming career because I couldn't make it as a player. I was not good enough. So obviously, I have the game knowledge. I have the proper tools to work with. So it was just natural, I think.
Did you find it easy? You say that obviously you've got the background to do it, but was that transition straightforward?
Well, it's I feel like for a lot of people, it's learn on the go. There's a lot of things that you. Obviously, the analyst side for me is pretty much instinctive. It's natural. I feel like. The part I need to work the most for me is the coaching part, where you need to more psychology a bit, manage the mood of the player and whatnot. So the side, manager side and the analyst side for me it was very simple. It's I have my idea. I know how I want to work. I know what's important because I've been in the scene forever. So pretty much since the beginning, I think I started to get interest in Pro League around season 1. I watched a bit. Season 2, I was interested. And season 3, I made Pro League, pretty much on year 1. So I know how the game is played. I know the dynamic of everything. So the analyst part for me is very simple. It's pretty much what I've done for 3 years around the financial domain, I guess. But it's fairly easy to just translate. I feel like the financial domain is pretty much more rough.
Different kinds of challenges, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
So, in your own words, I suppose, describe a role for the viewer and what it sort of entails. Because I imagine that, you say you're, one says that they're a coach and don't really have the full picture of what exactly you're sort of doing for the team behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, personally, I'm more of an analyst than a coach. There's probably degrees between the two, unless you are very much divided, G2 who has Sua as analyst and Shaz as coach. But I mean, along the line, there's probably like a subdivision in it. Like Shaz probably do some analyst stuff, and Sua probably do some coaching stuff. But for me, I'm more leaning towards analyst. Really, this is really my strength, so I'm mostly focused on that. But I guess a day for me, I wake up in the morning. I wake up really early because I mean, I'm in NA coaching an EU team. So when I wake up at 7 a.m., it's already like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. So I need to start early, just so I'm like prepared. So a day is really wake up. Usually I have already figured out what map we'll play. It's like the map pool is very limited since we have 2 auto ban, right? So it's a 7 map pool, but in reality, it's like a 5 map pool. So you know the 2 maps you are mostly, well, you pretty much know the 2 maps you'll be banning at the very beginning of the week. So that leaves like 3 maps. And most of the team always have 1 map that you know 90% of the time they'll ban. So you really only need to work on 2 maps. So you go from a 7 map pool to a 2 map pool really for a week. So it's pretty much figuring that out, watching the VODs, the most recent VODs you have on the team, figuring out what's the tendencies, what operator do they play. Usually some teams have, general play style. If you take Empire on offense, they'll take like minimal map control and just try to plant. If you take other teams, they just go for kills. Like it's night and days for some teams. So you just need to figure that out really. See what operator like. If they use an operator as a crutch, well, this is potentially an operator you can ban, or if they abuse an operator you struggle with. So let's say you really struggle with a glass, well, you can just ban it because they'll play it. And a lot of that is also, well, for me at least, sorry, I just smashed my... For me, I keep track of everything. I made myself a spreadsheet of every game day, and I like pick some basic information which are automatically processed and like fed into a front page, which pretty much sums up everything that I need. So that's fairly easy to find. So I get like for the last 6 months, I know X team banned this operator number of time, they have that success rate on this map and whatnot. So that's pretty much in my morning. But aside from that, that's the analyst thing, and it can take a few hours to like get sorted. But there's also watching the scrims of the players. Obviously, you want to be there, so you get well, at very minimum, I like to have 2 or 3 players actually streaming the scrim. So you can watch like somewhat live your 3-second delay, so it's not really that late. And these things really are the core, I'd say, of what's happening. I'm not sure how everyone manage. I guess it could be interesting for me to share the spreadsheet at some point, or how it's structured for people to have an idea where to start. But that's pretty much it. And like behind the scene, there's also a lot of things happening. Ubisoft is constantly talking to the players, asking for feedback on X subject. There's some meeting. What else? Sometimes they ask for people to go to workshops, so testing new content, whether it's operator maps, just feedback on like buff, nerf, and whatnot. So there's a lot of that too. That's happening in the background. It's mostly handled like privately, so no one really knows about it. And I'm mainly doing it for the team, so I manage also the relations with Ubisoft and ESL. When they have a question, it's pretty much me. Hey guys, I need you to do X and X. Give me your DX Diag for something Ubisoft want to work on and whatnot. So it's managing these relations. Also I feel like that falls also more into like a manager role too. So you're pretty much like a coach, analyst, manager. There's also like scheduling scrims, keeping relations with other people, and yada yada.
Yeah,
we can probably go in more deep details if you want, but like as a general state for me, that's pretty much like a day. It's wake up at 7, 8 a.m. to like midday, do the watch VOD / do the calls with Ubisoft / prepare scrims. Then I get like a lunch break. I try to maintain like somewhat of a workday schedule because otherwise I'll probably just turn insane. And we have to. Sometimes we have scrims in the morning too. Sometimes, morning for me, but afternoon for the players. Then there's the afternoon scrim, which for me starts at 2 p.m. From 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's scrim, and then I get another break for dinner, which I usually use to move. So I do boulder climbing. That's my thing. So I go do that, and then it's Pro League when it's NA. Yeah. So Monday Pro League, Wednesday is Brazil, which I'll also watch sometimes. And then Friday is EU. Can't say I really watch APAC because it's really hard to keep up, but I do watch their own final. You can call it that way.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine APAC could be quite challenging with the time zones.
Yeah.
It's something.
The time zone and also the way it's structured, it's
of course
much more complicated. Like if you don't consider the team that like disbanded or quit like Pro League, there's more APAC teams, or APAC. Let's call it. There's more APAC Pro League slots than there's Pro League teams in all three others region combined. Well, so it's really hard.
Sort of to digress, I suppose, a little bit here. APAC's fascinating because it's essentially Pro League in its own right, but it's 4 regions.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes and competes as a single region at an international level. So it's sort of, it's pretty wild as a organization thing. And to keep track of is maddening. I've attempted it myself. But that's coming back to this. I think we've got Icewalks in chat who's already said he'd love to see the spreadsheet, which
we'll see.
Like sort of that's a share at your own risk. Statistics inside SiegeGG are very closely guarded secrets, so we're very.
Most of it is usually like the way I structured my thing is I have like how do you call it? Sorry, I'm looking for my English word on that. My tab in the bottom. I have my tab. I have one tab that is just raw data. It's just like the raw data that I keep. And that's probably the most important one because everything else is derived from this sheet. So in this sheet, like you see things like the dates. Is it a best of 1 or best of 3, best of 5? What's the map played? What's the default ban? Default ban is the map played the previous week. Who banned first? What are the maps? Ban in order. So let's say Team 1 ban Border Bank, and then Team 2 ban Coastline Consulate. Well, I keep track of that. Then they win. What's the score? What else do I got? I got who banned last? Yes or no? The operator ban, and that's and then a tab that a cell that links directly to the YouTube video or the Twitch video, so I don't have to look for it, right? Yeah. So I just type it in, and then I don't have to look for it. I have a magic tab that just tells me, hey, this is if you look for I don't know, let's say G2 last time they played on Consulate, I will have like the date, the map they played, so Consulate, the team they played against, so I can like easily look for what I need, right? So it's pretty much like this one sheet that has all the raw data, and everything else is like taken from that. So you just like place it like you want. Do you want to make a graph to know how many times they played X map or how many times they ban X map. Do you want to? You can pretty much rebuild the ban order and make it like appear nice, right?
Yeah.
Because since I keep track of who bans first, then you know the logical order or ban, and then the last map. So you can like rebuild the whole ban phase too. You can do a lot of things. So it's really like that sheet with the most relevant information you can pick from a game, and then I just keep it. So some I don't really use even at the moment, but I mean it's there. So if I want to use it later, well, it's there.
And you're manually entering all of this as well.
Yeah, well, but I mean, for a game, it usually takes 30 seconds per game. So it's like team 1, team 2, who bans first, ban, the map pick, the default ban, then the operator ban, and the score. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, just sort of like illustrating that, like, for someone not in the know, that like you have to like.
Oh, you have to do. Yeah. I mean, there was a process.
Like,
there was also a process. You need to think about it and like how you're going to structure it and what information is important and whatnot. But yeah,
presumably that all comes from your background as well with the financial analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was working. I was working for a portfolio manager. But before I left for full-time Team Secret, but my job was pretty much work on Spreadsheet, build tabs, build graphics, build. I mean, even I was building like a financial report on Spreadsheet, and it looked like a Word sheet. I was just finding Excel much more flexible than Word to actually make things. But that just comes because I was. It's an habit of working with Spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I suppose this might be a bit more closely guarded, so feel free not to answer this. But obviously we at SiegeGG have a rating, which the formula of which is a closely guarded secret that I think only Spleck knows. It's kind of like the Coca-Cola recipe.
Yeah.
So he's very, very, very secretive about it. Do you have any similar formulas? Obviously, you don't need to tell us what they do or anything like that, but do you have that kind of stuff set up, or is it very much sort of to just output the graphical stuff and?
No, well, the way I use my sheet is basically to tell me where to look. Mm-hmm. Like it's pretty much a visual representation of where should I put more attention, right? So, like I said, there's a 3-map pool, and then you pretty much know, like, hey, this team bans. Like 50% of the time, their first map ban is X map. So you pretty much know this map has a high potential of being banned. So you probably, if you want to focus and put more time on one map, it's probably not going to be this one. Mm-hmm. So it's much more a tool of where do I need to look, what's worthy of my time, and then you just start there, right?
Yeah. And so you come out of the sheet with the 2 maps, and the next step is go through the VODs from where the team previously played, and presumably you then start, like, this is the point where your work starts being filtered to the team, and you start like building a plan about how you're going to play, in theory.
Well, yeah. Well, then it comes down to VOD review, right? So there's like 2 maps. I have it open right now, but I just click on my tab and say, okay, I want to play Bank. So I select Bank. My thing says, all right, well, the last time, let's take for example, who do we play? Let's say we play Navi because it's done. I just do my thing. I select Navi, and then I see, okay, Navi ban Bank 43% of the time, and then Coastline, the second map. But Coastline against us was already banned. We already knew we were going to play Clubhouse unless they want to unless they tried to do something funky with Bank. And so we were prepared for Clubhouse. We knew Clubhouse was going to be the map. But then I can just go, okay, click on my tab that's VOD list, select the map I need, and then it just gets out. It's like, all right, well, the last time they played is X date on that map, and here's the VOD. So I just click on the VOD, and the way I did it is also that I can print it, right? So if I want to go to, not if I want to go, because obviously I want to go, but if I go to LAN, I also want to have much of the work already done and easily accessible. So I just print my page and I got everything. The VOD obviously in the link, but you can always like type it out if like internet is not available for some reason. But I guess yeah, I okay, just keep going. I'll do something maybe that can be interesting to show what it looks like. Try to find a way.
Well, yeah, that would be definitely fascinating to see. But yeah, I mean, so how does that information, so you know which map you're going to play, do you then scrim that map that week?
Yeah, for the week, obviously the focus is going to be on the couple maps. It's not always like let's say we plan on banning Oregon for X week. Well, doesn't mean the other team we're going to play against is okay not playing Oregon. So obviously we'll have to play it. But usually the way a scrim works is it's pretty much like team picks a map, the other team picks a map, and then agrees on the last one. But most of the time, people are okay with getting the map you want. But obviously, like for us, the focus is going to be on these like 3 potential map. And again, it's focused on these 3 potential map. But if we have a choice between 2 of the maps we want to play, well, it's going to be the map that's less likely to be banned, right? So again, like this sheet allows us to like focus on the things that are more likely going to happen.
Yeah. Just trying to turn myself up to make. Apparently, I'm not coming through very well. Unfortunately, I'm actually having some issues with the audio. So I guess I could either just shout at my mic more. I'll just shout at Helbee here.
No, you're good.
Physically get closer to the mic. Come on, I haven't got a long enough cable to do this any better. Without disconnecting my mic and then plugging back in. Otherwise, we've got to turn the whole monitor around. Anyway, this isn't the point of the podcast, so we'll keep going on. So, like, are we really ignoring my coaching input right now? Okay, so briefly, as we're a little distracted anyway, let's talk about Remorse's style of coaching just briefly and see what Helbee thinks about it. So, Remorse says, those of you that are listening to this as a podcast, most of the time I'm like, guys, just stop dying, start killing them instead. And then they do it. Whenever we're down 5 rounds in the first half, I go, guys, stop losing, and then boom, 6 rounds in a row to avoid relegation. So, have you ever done something like that with Secret?
Well, I try, but EU is a little bit harder than NA, so can't just do that.
So it's Remorse is lucky that he's coaching a North American team then.
Pretty much, yeah. He's also just memeing, so memeing back.
Of course. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's also easy for him, you know. You just say, "Let's get out of relegation," and then Orgles disband. So.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
fairly easy.
He could have said that, and then they didn't lose, like, come back with 6 rounds anyway, and he still would have dodged the.
Remorse did Orgles disband confirm.
Yeah, he orchestrated it. Intentionally arranged poaching of players. I need to be careful with saying this on behalf of SiegeGG. Could fake news.
Fake news, yep, indeed.
Like that's never happened before. But yeah, so how much of a role? Because you've said like your scope is so much more focused on the analysis. how
Yeah.
much of a role do you have in developing strats with the team?
When I joined, it was I don't know, and that part of the game was very much handled by the players. So I obviously give input and strats and what I think can happen, and where we can do better. And that's mostly in scrims when I watch live, and also in dry runs. But most of like the basic strats are made by the players because they feel more comfortable that way and perfectly fine with it. But like that doesn't stop me to come up with a strat if I have an idea or like some adjustment, right?
Okay, so who is? I suppose this also comes away a bit, and who is the sort of the? Do you work equally with all of the members of the team, or is it more sort of oriented around specific individuals in terms of the information you're relaying to them that then they relay to the other members in the team?
Oh no, it's mostly the team globally. I mean, there's
Yeah.
only 5 people, so unless there's like something, unless like I'm working specifically with a player, and like let's take for example Funkers when he joined us, there was a lot of like catching up, which some of the player took on them to like go around the map and do call outs with them, but also like some bad habit that we need to beat out of him. That he was obviously doing without really knowing that it was considered bad because it depends on the play style really. So we wanted to fit him. So that kind of information really like happens, but it's more players. But when it's globally about the other team, it's mostly like the whole team.
Yeah.
In T-Speak, just say, by the way, this is most likely what's going to happen. They play it that way, that way, that way. So be careful about that. And then we can start building strats around like the general idea of how an enemy team attack.
How was it? I mean, like you've said, you had to sort of bring Fonkers up to speed. Was he? I mean, the last time I spoke to you, you hadn't even picked him up. There were rumors,
Right.
And then I think shortly after there were leaks. Unfortunately, Team Secret seems to be dogged with badly kept.
Yeah,
secrets.
we're doomed.
But how's it been bringing on someone that hasn't played at this level before?
Well, he did play like competitive before him.
course.
Like he had that experience. He had obviously it was not like pro league experience, but the basis was there. It's just some bad habits to play alone that really needs to be beat out of him.
Okay, so I'm gonna draw from chat again, and
Let's dive.
so Esports is asking if you are seeking to go into an analyst or coaching role, how do you get your name out there, and where do you start?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think Jess did a good job with her YouTube video, so definitely look that. If you don't have it, I'm sure she'll be willing to answer on Twitter, or maybe even there if she's still in chat. The video was pretty good. Like the basic is there. It's like pretty much you need to know how to work with a spreadsheet because that's the basic way to do it. Even if it doesn't look good, it doesn't matter. I like a lot of people come up and send me like, "Do you need an analyst?" I'm like, my stuff look good. Like their stuff looks amazing, but there's like it's either too cluttered or just too much irrelevant information.
Yeah.
So just like be concise. It doesn't have to look good. It just needs to be like easy to read and have all the good information. And if you can save yourself some amount of work by making things more automatic, you should probably do it. But like that's bare minimum to know how to work with a spreadsheet. It's really rough to put your name out there. I was lucky enough to start from the very beginning, so I kind of naturally grew with the game. I honestly, if someone wants to be known right now, I'm really not sure how you can do it. I had to like put yourself out there, because when you look at the people who are in support staff, it's mostly ex-players or people who've been around or personalities. So I don't know. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's like, hey, here's my thing. Like try to make some prediction, really.
Yeah.
On social media, but I'm almost positive it starts with social media, and then it's probably joining a team, try to play a bit, show that you have experience. But yeah, I think if I wanted to start right now, but the thing is also people are not really patient. They want to fast track, like, hey, look, I can do something good, pick me up and sign me in the Team Secret right now. Like, if you're starting from the very beginning right now, it's going to take a while. It took me 3 years to get to the point where I am right now, and sacrificed like a lot of things. So take your time. Don't be stressed. And if you can't do it without being paid because you find it boring, well, probably not for you to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
But it really is like figuring out how to put your name out there. You don't even have to be the best. You just need to be able to put your name outside, so people know who you are. Because a lot of people, it's the same thing for players right now. There's a lot of good players. It's just nobody knows who they are and what they do. And that's why they're not picked up. Like I've seen some people say about when we picked up Funkers, they were like, "Oh my god, why didn't they pick that guy? Because he's like super good or yada yada." It's like, who's that guy? Never heard of him.
Exactly.
How are you going to try someone that you never heard of? It's
right.
It's the biggest it's the hardest point for a newcomer in the scene to figure out. And I'm not sure I have a solution right now. A magic solution, anyway.
So need some sort of academy, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like there are academy teams. So
yeah.
But
like there's no like there's the thing is there's no magic way to do it. Like you need to start from the beginning. So where's the beginning? It's T3, T4, T. Maybe if you can like manage to get a tier 2 org. Sure, do it, but like start from the beginning and be patient.
Yeah. So, I want to sort of touch then on the psychology stuff, and ask you, obviously. So this isn't something that, as far as I know, you have history with. So.
Nope.
How have you managed that? You've had a bit of a roller coaster as a team as well, so I imagine that's put you under more stress as well than.
Yeah.
So, well, I imagine honestly every team has those
stress management is our biggest problem at this point. It's really night and days between scrims and game day, so this really is a problem in that area for Secret, and. That's my biggest weakness as a coach analyst. Coach analyst is like one word, I guess. But that's my biggest weakness. So that's what I need to work on the most. It's with no prior experience, right? It's not super easy, but you got to find a way. It's talking to the players, seeing what you can do. Comes to life habits, sometimes that maybe they need to look into, but a lot of it needs to come from the players. If they're not open, it's hard to change stuff, right? And it's not an easy subject either. So,
do you find that your team is receptive most of the time for that? I mean, also, I suppose I'm kind of putting you on the spot here because if you say no, then maybe we'll see some beef on Twitter later or something like that. Sort of Helbee looking for team. I don't want to put you in a bad place here, so obviously but I imagine they must be mostly receptive to be at this point.
Yeah, well,
so.
Oh, give me a sec. My computer decided to go in AFK mode. Obviously, it's our problem, and the player knows it. It's not a solution that you can fix like in one overnight. It's like, again, I'm not an expert on that, but I feel like it's a process that the player needs to go through and work on themselves to not let like exterior factor influence their game. Because what's the difference between game day and practice? It should be the same, right? You practice how you play.
Yeah.
Like you just need to like be able to ditch out the pressure and just be like, all right, it's like I've played this game a million times. I can probably play it to 1,000,001 time and still be the same. Like it's not like they forget to play overnight, right?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, I'm coming kind of hard and fast with these questions. Do you have? I mean, you've got one play day left at Secret, so this is super like current stuff. Like in this season, there's obviously some of it that's kind of out of your hands at this point. What are you? Is there anything that you're like? Are you staying the course with what you've got tried and tested, or are you looking for new ideas?
Sorry, can you go again? I'm not sure where you're going with that.
I suppose, I mean, like, are you... I don't know whether I'm, I suppose I'm asking, do you have a plan for this final play day? Or that sort of like one that you've used before? Or is this going to be, like, are we going to see something new coming into this as...
It's hard to say. Well, it's not hard to say. Like when we play in scrims, it's going super well. We're a very well-oiled machine, so it's really not like mechanic that's not working. It's really is on game day and we have a problem. So, like I said, it's hard to work overnight, but it's obviously something that needs to keep it. We'll need to work this week on like preparing for game day, and also it's like not making something so special. Because it's not that special. It's just a game day. You're playing games. You're not going to die tomorrow. Even if you lose or win, you're not going to be on the street. You're not going to be dead. You're still going to be breathing. You're still going to be living. So like it's just learning to stop to put like so much pressure on yourself to perform. Because like the team is there with you. You're not alone. But it's... for game day, it's mostly going to be working on that this week rather than strategy-wise. It works. It's just applying the strategy on game day with like the extra pressure, because like the pressure causes you to hyper focus on some details, and hyper focusing makes you miscommunicate or miss like calls from teammates, and then it just starts falling from there. And that's pretty much where we are right now.
So I think it's probably fair for me to give you a break from the sort of really hard, the pressing sort of questions, prying questions, I suppose. And let's see whether we can pull anything from chat. There's a lot about psychology at the moment.
Well, honestly, if I add more time and more money, that's probably something I would be interested to do, right? Just go back to university and do some class in psychology just to understand it better and just to know my way around, because that's really is as a like the coach side of me, that's my biggest weakness, like the psychology part, because I'm really not a neurotic person. So like for me, stress is super easy to manage. I can just like toss it out, but it's not the same for everyone. And like for someone who like me who's really not stressed, trying to say like, hey, just don't stress about it, it's like it's not easy to like understand the whole like psychological process behind the stress, right? Because it's not the same for everyone. And then I like the tools to discuss about it and just move like that would be something interesting, but right now it's just not possible for me to do it.
So if it's not possible for you, one thing that we've seen sort of obviously rise in across some teams is having their sort of leadership, their analysis and coaching become two people, and having this divide.
That's the best. That'd be the best to work with someone who has this part figured out, right?
Yeah.
So I could just focus on being analyst and working strats and all that stuff. That's really why I'm interested in Rainbow Six. It like the personal relation with people, like psychology part is fun too. But the part I'm a fucking spreadsheet. I'm a spreadsheet nerd. That's what I like.
That reminds me of all of SiegeGG.
Yeah, well, I mean, I come from the world of RTS, so like strategy and just seeing like the game as a global thing, like seeing the players as like individual peons that I move around is what I like about this game.
So, is this something that, I mean, this might be another thing where you may or may not be able to talk about it. Is this something that Secret has considered? Like, has that been an option before, like having, like, splitting the roles up?
Well, first you would have to find the right person for that, which I'm not sure. Well, I don't have the connection for it, so maybe on Secret side, but it's not something we have discussed. No.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to sort of fish out of chat. If you are listening to this later on without the chat on, I do implore you to come and look for the Twitch VOD, because in chat we have the minds of Jess from Penta, Gotcha, and Remorse dropping their own sort of thoughts, which can be quite insightful. Whether you've got anything you'd like to respond to in chat yourself, Helbee, on your own thoughts and opinions.
I would have to. I didn't read it because I was talking, but
of course.
If there's question about specific topic,
actually, yeah. I mean, like at this point, does anyone have any like sort of points they want to sort of ask Helbee about? Is Helbee single? From Jess.
Yes. I don't have time to get out.
He's
I'm just in my room all day. No, I get out sometime for sport. I need to move around, but yeah. It's not a career that right now allows me to meet a lot of people, especially when you're not going to LAN. Sadly enough.
Unfortunately. So actually, here's something that I just thought. You obviously get out and move around, and presumably that
try to stay healthy a bit.
Yeah, presumably that sort of promotes like a healthy body, healthy mind. Is that something that we've seen? Like a couple of I think Duck Zero's been quite a strong proponent of this sort of attitude because they've got their built-in gym and stuff. Is this something that we're starting to see a rise in for teams?
I hope so, because it's something very healthy. Right now, it's almost the Wild West. Like, there's some teams that are super like focused on that, and some teams that are just not focused at all. Some teams that have like tight schedule, and some teams that have no schedule. Well, no schedule at all. So it's a bit of Wild West, and I think everyone could benefit from pretty much the Astralis model. It's really what you need to aspire to, right?
So,
Icky duties. All right, Rumors.
What do you think of the sort of importance of, because obviously Secret, I suppose uniquely, because we didn't see any other teams in the region, as far as I know, competing in any regional leagues. Obviously, you competed in ESL Prem.
Well, yeah, but if you want to call it Secret, because you play with a sub and there's a lot of like limitations. So
yeah,
sure, there's like 3 people with Secret, or maybe 4, but it's
on top of that,
there's like
you couldn't make it there, and neither could Fonkus as well.
No.
Like,
and the thing is, it's not scheduled to work with Pro League.
Yeah.
So. Like we had to do like we had to make a lot of things happen, like in the backside, to actually be able to play the final of the Prem at LAN. It was to the point where Secret had to talk directly to the ESL so they could like keep some computer available so we could fly there early to play in there on their computer. But early on, their computer was not good enough, so we had to make them like have an upgrade so they could like actually have decent FPS. So it was like a whole mess. Yeah. But we made it work. But like it's really not simple if you want to participate in them, and like the prize pool is little to none. It's like it's pocket change at this point.
Do you think, sort of going forwards, because I'm pretty sure and I might be misquoting on you on this, was that you weren't feeling that, partly because of the prize pool and the complexities that you've faced, you probably wouldn't attempt to compete in Prem, and now you don't have a roster that...
Well, that's the thing. You pretty much lose a day scrim, so you need to put it somewhere else, and it's a scrim with a sub, so it's not like a game. Sometimes, like depending on the sum, you need to move roles around, so that's changed too. And then it's a lot of like moving things around for little benefit. So it's almost not worth it. I don't know what we'll do for next season of Prem. Maybe we'll play it, maybe we won't. But like like I said, it's a lot for very little benefit.
What would need to be done to make it more viable, more attractive for teams to play regional things? I mean, really only talking about
the thing. I'm not a bit like we've moved in discussion, but I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of regional luck tournament.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's like it's good to develop T4, T3 teams. Like they are the real teams that benefit from it, and because these teams are good, then the grassroots teams are really strong, so the region overall gets stronger. But that leaves pretty much nothing for the higher like tier teams to compete. It's just like, hey, let's go have fun at a land that we're not going to prepare all that much because like it's too complicated to move around, and we can't really spend time on it to specifically work on it because like there's no time allowed around it. It's pretty much crammed between Pro League, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Icehawks out of chat is asking, do you feel that coach analysts are underappreciated? I'm going to expand on that as, I imagine he's asking sort of more about like getting credit. Are they also, do you find that they're appreciated equally by players as well? I mean, across the whole team, not just your team, but across the whole team, I suppose.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a behind the scene job, right? You're not going to get the fame of a player, and it's not your job to get it. So maybe there's some of it, but the fame is not what I'm after. So it's really like, do the player appreciate what you're doing? It's pretty much like the main focus. And if the answer is yes, well, cool, you might be on a good team. But if the answer is no, it's probably like, get out of there. Maybe there's a team that's actually going to appreciate what you're doing, and that's assuming you are doing what you need to do. If they don't, well, if they don't appreciate you and it's because you're not doing enough, then the problem is you yourself.
So...
You need to be honest with yourself at the end of the day, so...
I guess I keep like putting you on the spot here, but I suppose this is an interview, so that's kind of the idea.
Sure.
The other individuals that coach teams, other people that maybe not, maybe aspire is the wrong word, but you admire as coaches. Other coaches out there who really stands apart as well in terms of their coaching style, do you think?
I mean, I'd have to say Jess for the side of me that I lack. So obviously that, and Chaz because he's been around and pretty much defined the whole thing. It was very much the first. So I'd say these two. Again, we don't really. Well, I mean, speak for me. We don't really talk and show each other what we do, which could be interesting to actually push each other's up. But so it's pretty much based off of what you see, right? So maybe there's like some awesome coach that I don't see because they're very like behind the scene. Maybe there's that too, but again, I'd say these two.
So chat.
As for a reward, I guess it's always fun to. Well, since for me, I'm more of an analyst. It's always fun to have like some weight into balancing when you talk to Ubisoft. So that's also gratifying.
Yeah.
Go to workshop and like test the balance, give feedback, see the feedback that you gave actually being implemented and whatnot. So that's the part of me that feels like, oh yeah, it's worth doing it, and then going to LAN obviously, but.
And that's something that Ubisoft's got better with over time, and seem to be getting better and better with.
I mean, for all the crying there is about Ubisoft not listening, they pretty much are the dev. Well, I'd say the dev team as a whole that talk to their competitive player the most. Like, very open. Like we might not agree all the time, but like the nature of the relation is not to agree; it's to give feedback, and ultimately they'll decide what to do.
Yeah, because I've sort of started to hear reports about them sort of gradually improving that sort of response,
and we're starting to see we're starting to see it now too with just the recent nerf patch. So Ying nerf, Lion nerf, Capital buff, which I'm not a fan of, but we'll see.
You were pretty.
There was a lot of nerf. Like Dokkaebi nerf was fast. We're gonna get glass. So I feel like I see the behind the scene, right? So there's a lot of time where I'm just like, I want to scream at them, you fucking idiot, but I can't because I'm under NDA.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard that way. But like I think there was a backlog, and right now we're starting to see them catching up on that backlog of things they wanted to fix. And I mean, I don't know, I foresee like a fast patch in the future, which I think is a great future for Rainbow Six.
Like the sort of, apparently you've also like the rate at which you're being given and the space you're now being given to sort of prevent this sort of delay in Pro League for bug fixing and your opportunity to test things in advance enough.
Yes. And I think they switched up the way the balance team worked too internally. So I think they have a team that's like 100% focused on balancing right now. Yeah. And before it was like it was the gameplay, not the gameplay dev. It was the I forgot how they're called, but it was a specific subset of devs that worked on this with the coding, like some part of the operator in other ways. But right now, it's just like they split them up. There's like a team that's entirely focused on balancing, and a team that's focused on making then like work happen, code, interesting balance and whatnot. Yeah. And that shows because right now they just react faster. They have good ideas. Obviously, they take the feedback much more than before, but like they react and propose stuff better too. Because sometimes they just come to us and say, "Hey, so what do you think about this change for this operator?" And we're like, "Oh shit, yeah, that's a great idea," and like they come up with it. So it's really it's fun to work that way, right? So like the conversation goes both way, but ultimately they're the one making the decision. But with a team that's entirely focused on that, it's actually working.
So, not to miss a question, I think your guys might have missed this earlier, but he asked, Helbee, do you open strats for players?
You what?
Do you open strats for players? I'm reading it quite sort of literally off. like off chat. I'm not 100% on the meaning. I imagine it must be do you break down opposing strats? I think that's what it means.
Maybe. Maybe. Well, there's obviously counter strat, but then if you see a strat that's interesting from another team, you'd be dumb to not like copy it and put your flavor on it, right?
Yeah. Actually, that leads into something I was thinking about earlier. You mentioned that obviously you watch North American Pro League, EU, of course, same as your region, and also a bit of LATAM. Do you draw from the other regions? I think I'm gonna go out here on a limb, and I'm sure if I'm wrong, both yourself and chat will correct me and say that North America and EU are much more similar than LATAM in playstyle.
Sorry, what?
North America and Europe as playstyle is more similar to each other than Latin America.
It's like it's been much more aggressive. I feel like in NA.
You can say
I feel like NA has been.
Yeah.
I feel like NA has been a bit more aggressive, and this season in general has been such a mystery. Sometimes it felt like night and day from previous season. I feel like previous season we're focused more on like strategy, try to plan, get some map control. But right now, this season, it's pretty much like defenders are the team attacking right now. It's crazy. So that was a bit of a like weird season for that. Pretty sure it's caused by like the huge amount of info ups. But EU and NA have a similar play style. I don't know why LATAM struggles so much in like internationally. I feel like they counter strat each other very well. And there's like a couple teams that are like better than the others, but when it comes to like international, it feels like they struggle. They struggle more than when they do, because like every season it's like, oh, it's FaceTime, and then it's just not happening. So I don't know, is it the LAN setup that they struggle with, or is it just play style?
Well, they also get more lands because they have the VR6, which is quite like that's quite a consistent and long running.
It also feels like they lost. It also feels like they lost some of their aggressivity early on, like when LATAM was the very, very, very beginning, firstly introduced, and we started screaming at them, screaming against them. It was insane. These guys were running out everywhere. If you were shooting a barricade, they would just run out on you and gun you down when you were like out of ammo. It was insane. And now it feels like they like calm down and they focus more on strat. And a lot of teams higher ups in LATAMs are like a bit slower in pace on attack. So it's really weird how this region moved. They just need to find their way internationally. There's no easy solution, but is their big focus? It needs to be their big focus right now if they want to compete better.
Do they have anything to teach other regions as well?
Well, I mean, you can always learn. It's always like interesting strats, but it's not like so you never know where an idea is going to be coming from. So it's always worth watching. Even Challenger League sometimes they can do something that like sparks an idea, and you're like, oh, maybe I can like tweak what he just did that way. And it was pretty much like what happened with impact tricking. I think like for me, when I was not aware on EU that was happening, I saw Flipside throw an impact at something, and I was like, oh, maybe you can deny the thermite like that. And then like everyone caught up at the same time, like had the same idea, but like the idea didn't come from someone actually doing it. It came from someone doing something close to it, and you're like, oh, maybe that works, and it works. And we've seen like that being used all through season 8.
So I know this has been answered or addressed, I suppose, by both Remorse and Jess in chat. But OJ asks, when looking at team strats, do you see a certain set, or no, do you see certain setups, patterns in other team strats that have been taken and put into another team strat? So I think this is sort of like seeing things starting to
there's
sort of filter across different teams.
Yeah, there's obviously some of it. I mean, some bomb site are like, if you take Oregon, there's not like 1,000 way to like defend that map. So obviously there's bits in here taken from other teams. It's replicated so much that at some point it's just like default strat. It's not the strat that is owned by a team. It's just like, that's the strat. That's the default thing. Obviously it happens, but it's not like to a very high degree, right? Meta, like Rumor said, meta overlaps, but like there's some adaptation of it. But most of it is just adaptation from the default strat. That is like the most common used way to defend a bomb site or attack.
So, I'm about to sort of. I'm asking your opinion here rather than like, because it is definitely towing the line on NDAs, but the map pool at the moment. You mentioned Oregon and how it's like a default strat. Do you think we could maybe see a map like Oregon removed from the map pool and a new map introduced, or a different map, like a pre-existing one that gets changed? The rework that we're about to, or we will see later in this year. And
we should see it. We should see it in Milan. So in maybe about what day is it? 20. Maybe about a month.
Yeah. Things like that. Sort of those sorts of changes. You think we'll see? Or would
I hope
you
so.
like
Yeah.
to see changes to the map pool? Because I can also see that something like that would be an addition to your workload as well. So it might not be that great in that sense. But you also want something refreshing and different.
Yeah.
To add new
Obviously. I would take something refreshing over my workload. Like, I can manage. Like, there's 24 hours in a day. You can watch a couple maps in 24 hours. It's not a problem. Can always cut on sleep. I'm not. I'm in shape enough so that I don't need to sleep like 10 hours a day. But I would see. I'm really not sure if a 9 map pool is possible right now.
Yeah.
I would much rather wait on upcoming maps. I would definitely be interested in seeing Outback tried over Oregon, probably.
Outback.
And then we'll have to see the general feedback on Cafe once it's out, and Canal.
Yeah, that was
Canal.
The other one. Canal, I'm really excited for. I'm so incredibly excited.
You should be excited for.
Because I think that is probably my favorite map. It's like a personal thing. So I mean, you mentioned Outback. There are two other maps that we've never that have never been considered, which is Hereford, since it's reworked.
No, and dog shit.
And Fortress. And the thing is, I'm interested by Outback as a suggestion because I can see
it looks like Oregon.
Well,
it's an L shape.
In my opinion, like internally, it's really cluttered. There's like so much going on that I'd call it like more challenging. Like it's it reminds me
Outback,
of
you mean?
Favela. Yeah, Outback.
Okay.
Whereas with Fortress, like I can see it being like more sort of not necessarily streamlined, but you can see how the strategy will develop around that.
Well, I think Fortress suffers from the same. Problem is probably not the right word, but I see it as another villa, right?
Yeah.
It's super big. There's like a high possibility of roaming, and you more than likely are gonna be off site and then slowly falling back to site to defend. I personally like Fortress. I think it's a It's an alright map. It's better than Oregon, I think. Would definitely need to be played in a competitive setup before to give an actual feedback, because like the rank is not very descriptive of how you defend a map or a bomb site. But I think it's an interesting map. I don't think I would change it for Oregon though, because I feel like if you want to change a map, Oregon or Cafe. Sorry, Oregon or Outback. Cafe or Outback. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Cafe or Outback. Oh, give me a sec. My computer's struggling right now. So Cafe or Outback instead of Oregon would make more sense, because Oregon is a small map. It's like somewhat streamlined. And Cafe and Outback have the same general feel. Yeah. So you would not be changing like a small map for a huge map. So you would be keeping somewhat the same, like big to small map ratio in the map pool. So I think that would be like the smartest move. We'll have to see what people think of Cafe, but I think it looks promising. It looks really interesting. And we'll have to wait for release, I guess.
So, I mean, like you were talking about sizes of the maps. Do you feel that having a balance between like having smaller maps and larger maps is important, because there are some teams that play those like literally the size.
Yeah.
Better in some ways.
Well, I think it's like the general feel. Like honestly, switching Outback for Oregon for Outback would almost be perfect, because both of them are like L-shaped. So you would be keeping somewhat the same kind of map-ish. I'm not sure. I have a like definite opinion on, or like set in stone opinion on like small to large map ratio, but I don't think I'd be willing to just like, without thinking about it, mess up with it. So that's why I would just like keep the same kind of map, because I haven't thought about it all that much, so I'd rather not mess with it.
So I think that's probably me running out of questions here. As nothing else is sort of coming to me. So chat if you have any final questions for Helbee. Helbee, if you have anything you'd just like to add on top of all of this, now's the opportunity.
There's not much. It's a cool job, but
would you recommend?
You need to someone? I mean, yes. It's for me right now. It's not a highly like paid salary job, but like quality of life wise, it's just amazing for me. It's like a dream job. I worked an office job for quite a while before I got this, and it was just not for me. I feel like I've always doubted I would be good self-employed, but this was a nice adventure that showed me it's probably the way I need to work. So for me, it was interesting, but you need to make sure you're pretty good at it and that you can do it, because it's easy to be lazy, right? I just wake up and I could stay in my pajama the whole day. You just need to beat yourself out of it, right?
Yeah.
But it's fun, and if you want to do it, don't wait for everything to be good. Just start doing it. And if you're good, and if you can do it without, well, if you do it by passion, at some point it might turn into a job, and that's amazing.
Words of wisdom.
But again, But again, like it took me like, I feel like I need to like keep reminding people this. It took me 3 years, almost full time, while finishing school, while working, to get here. So it's not going to be easy if you want to make it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, and you don't even have the chance of being the first in the scene like I did. So I was pretty much lucky to start at the very beginning. So it's gonna be hard, but you can do it. You can do it.
So on that note, Beastie is asking if you be introduced 10-team Pro League, would you take the extra workload in exchange for more freedom on Playday?
Check star workload in exchange for more freedom on Playday. What do you mean more freedom on Playday? So you have a bigger map pool?
I do not know.
So I would take the extra workload. It's not a problem.
Do you think that would be good for the scene? Do you think that are
well, obviously it would
like
increase the skill gap between some teams. Some teams have very limited map pools. Some teams have never played some map during the season, and if you have to autoban every time, well, a more diverse team map pool wise is going to be more successful in this format. So obviously it would increase the skill gap, I think. But then it can become hard for Challenger League to actually compete because they don't do it full time, right? So it can be like harder for Challenger League to get to Pro League. So like as long as there's auto relegation, I'm not convinced it's like 100% a good solution to go to a 10 or 9 or 10 map pool. Well, it would be 9. Keep it uneven.
Yeah. So I think on that note, that's probably all from us. If you missed any part of this, you will be able to catch up both here and also on YouTube. I think you can also now get this on iTunes as well. But that is, I think, all from myself and from Helbee.
Yeah, well, let me test something.
Ooh.
Can I do?
Hang on. Exciting spoilers here, maybe.
No, I'm just maybe I can do that. Just show a brief overview of part of my sheet, I guess. Could give some idea to people. 720, I'll make it 1080. Who cares? All right. So you should see it, right?
At the moment, I have. Oh, there we go.
It's Is it flickering for real? Oh my god.
It is flickering just a little bit.
All right. So
there we go.
Pretty much how I was saying, I've got all the basic info on every team, every match day, and then I have a front page, so I can just click, do I want what team? Mm-hmm. So let's say, I don't know, G2, can change the date. So I started on January 1, so that includes like all of season 9. But if I want to be post invitational, just select the date after that. It's gonna update. So G2, since the invitational, they ban the first map ban was 50% of the time Oregon, so you can assume some of it was auto ban. And second map ban was mostly border and just some info. This is the map they play the most. So Clubhouse was their most map played. They lost once, win once. And I also have this. I need to do a macro to do it, but pretty much put in order the map ban. So that would be on Villa against the stream. They banned Nomad and Clash. They started defense, obviously, since the Clash was the last ban and whatnot. Put myself some highlighters so it's easier. But that's pretty much it, right? And there's like a couple tabs in the bottom, which process this whole information to make it that way. But that's pretty much it. That's how I organize my stuff, so it's easier to read. And then I can just generate a VOD list. Since every VOD link are there, I can just like extract them and get them, so it's easy to find. So I'm like, all right, so we think we're going to play Villa this week. Last time they played Villa was against Chaos yesterday, and we don't have we have the VOD yet. I just didn't update it. But that's pretty much like basic. I feel like this is basic thing people should actually know how to do.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all find that useful, chat. Thank you very much for showing sharing that with us, Helbee. Sorry, my words.
Yeah,
are getting
sure,
slow.
sure. I'm sure it's the same for Gotcha and Jess and any other coach, but like we often get like DMs of people, hey, can you look at my stuff and like give feedback, or do you think it's good, or do you think it's bad, or so. Like I usually send them like how I organize my stuff. So like they showed me how they do it, so might as well like give them back a bit.
Yeah.
So I just send them like, hey, this is our organized stuff. So for your stuff, you might want to look that way. And like this is an easy way to show people like one way of doing it. Like I don't have the ultimate solution. I'm sure there's a lot of people working with other tools or other, I don't know, way of doing it. But that's like very minimum basic information that needs to be in there.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for joining us, Helbee. And
thank you.
That is all from us. We will hopefully see you next weekend for another episode of Debrief. In the meantime, make sure to tune in to this channel for the pre-show during the week, starting 1 hour before every single play day. It's North America on Monday. On Wednesday, not only do we have Latin America, but we will also be doing a regional pre-show for the Benelux League. And then finally, it's sort of game day for Helbee on the Friday.
Yes, Friday against Chaos. Last game of the season.
Big eyes. Anyway, best of luck to Helbee.
Yes.
And we will see you all very soon. Until next time, guys. Good night.
Good night.